Muito boa tarde. E depois aqui de uma sessão sobre negociação e comunicação, seguramente é uma arte sobre a qual que os nossos próximos convidados têm muito também para falar. Representam organizações que também tiveram com certeza que fazer muita negociação e muita comunicação para ter sucesso. E vamos primeiro fazer aqui uma ronda de intervenções e no final haverá espaço para um debate. E, portanto, passo a palavra a Jan Gotschel, da NAU, a Organização Holandesa da Batata, que nos vai falar sobre um exemplo com história.
Oh yeah, that is. Okay. Yeah, welcome. Thank you for the possibility to tell something about the NAO, the Dutch Potato Organization. My name is Jan Gotschel, and I'm working as a policy advisor and secretary seed potato at the Dutch Potato Organization. You see here already some pictures. In the corner above, you see already the Houses of Parliament in The Hague. And here under you will see the building of the NAO, and in the middle the Ministry of Agriculture. And why I mention that, because that are important partners for us as an organization for traders in werb and seed potatoes. And I try to continue. Yeah. Now, as I said, NAO stands for Dutch Potato Organization. In Dutch, it is Nederlandse aardappelorganisatie. And we were established in 1999. But before that, we already had some other organizations. I find some statutes somewhere of organizations of halfway the 20th century. And if we look at those, the goals of the organization are still the same as NAO nowadays. Trying to join the potato sector, to bring them together, and also try to defend the interest in all kinds of at the government or other bodies in the Netherlands. We are an organization for traders, so our members are all traders in werb potatoes and seed potatoes. And those members are very diverse. We have smaller companies, bigger companies. You probably know Agrico, HSBC, Maio, etc. But also traders in werb potatoes, seed potatoes, who are only working on their own. So it's very broad membership we have. We have about 160 members, and they are a member on a voluntary basis. So there's not an obligation to be a member, but it's voluntary. And beside that, we have 12 business members that are companies which are not a trader, but for example, transporter, assurance company, laboratory, for example, because they want to have the network of the trading companies, but they are not traders by themselves. If you look at the representation rate, about 100% of the traders of the seed potato is a member of the NAO. And for the werb potato, it is a little bit less, I guess, because sometimes fruit and vegetable traders are, for them, potatoes are a byproduct, and for this reason, they are not always a member of the NAO. But still, I think we have about 95% of the volume is a member of the NAO. As I said, we are a voluntary organization. That means there's no obligation to be a member. And the members, they pay a fee. The fee is based on the volume the traders trade. And for every ton, they pay a certain fee. And if you look at the members, I call them traders, but if I look at the seed potato, partly of them also do some breeding. And if you look at the werb potato graders, some of them are also exporters, some are doing business only in the Netherlands, some of them are packers for the supermarkets, and some are only grading station. We as a service do the grading for other companies. So it's quite diverse, from big to small and all kinds of activities. Like other organizations, you have an organogram. I guess it is more or less the same I think, like other organizations. At the top is always the General Assembly. All decisions, in fact, are taken by the General Assembly. Every member has a certain amount of votes, depending on the volume a trader has, but it is limited. So if somebody has, for example, 3 times volume, that doesn't mean that he has 3 times the voting rights. Besides that, we have a board. They come together 3 times a year. They consist of 5 members, and they are responsible especially for the finances and for the organization and for the people. And we have a director, Dick Hielkema, maybe you know him. He is responsible for the daily business, and he keeps, of course, contact with the board, and some things would go on. NEO is 100% owner of the magazine called Potato World, Aardappelwereld in Dutch. They also have an English version of that magazine. But they are journalists, and they are independent in that way from the NEO. But because we have a good connection with them. Besides that, we have a foundation. I will tell a little bit more about that later in my presentation. And we have 2 commissions. The commissions, all kinds of dossiers are discussed. Dossiers about all kinds of, for example, for the export to certain countries, or maybe about the residue levels or whatever. We have one for ware potatoes and one for seed potatoes. And as you can see, for ware potatoes, we have exporter packers in it, and for seed potatoes, wholesale, but most of them are exporters. What do you see as tasks for the NIO? Important task is being a kind of contact for the government, for the embassy, for the embassies, and also for the Ministry of Agriculture, which is quite important for us, and the National Plant Protection Organization. Because those organizations do not want to have contact on a daily basis with 160 members. They don't have the time for that, and they expect that we have a balanced opinion about certain dossiers. Dossiers, for example, are changes of European legislation, because Brussels is, of course, important, and Porbatata, the European organization, is quite important for that. But also dossiers are discussed on a national level to get a joint opinion as the Netherlands, and also also the national member states still have a say in certain dossiers. That is why it is important also to have contact with our ministry, and there are of course also national dossiers. Like I called, European legislation can be plant reproductive material. Recently, legislation is being discussed. European Union want more sustainability. Recent dossiers were also that of a regulation for Globodera, for example, for war disease, Ralstonia, etc. An important task is also the opening and maintenance of entrance to third countries, because Holland is really an exporting country. I will show you at the end some export figures. Some of them, I've been told already, knows how to find them. On the NAO side, you can see our export figures. For example, if you look at seed potato, I think about 75% is exported, and then half of that is staying in the European Union, and the other half is going outside the European Union to third countries. What do we do? Now, if, for example, if foreign delegations want to visit the Netherlands, we try to support the ministry in making a program. For example, recently we had some visits of the Turkish delegation of Kazakhstan, for example, and then we prepared the dossier together with the ministry, and we also try to involve some companies in that discussion, and we received that delegation from abroad. We also give, of course, input on all kinds of dossiers. When there are certain problems, we give priorities for certain countries or difficulties we have at the ministry. Important is also platform discussion. If you want to have an opinion, you need discussions. For that, we have the 2 commissions, like I told. of rare potato and for the seed potato. And we have for the seed potato several meetings every year in which we discuss all kinds of things which are going on. Also, for example, with the NAK, how, for example, the inspections are going on, is everything going in time, etc. And very important is also, we are not doing it alone, because we are an organization for traders, but in fact, you should have also be connected to other parts of the chain. So we have good connection with the society for the processing industry, and also one for the growers. And we also have joint commissions, so we know each other, we know to find each other. That's very important. And if possible, we try to defend some certain interests together. Oh, it's going too fast one way. Yeah. Like I told, Holland depends very much on the export, rare potato and seed potato, because we export also rare potatoes to third countries. And as you know, if you want to get market entrance for the phytosanitary issues, it's always government to government. So the Dutch government talks to the government of Turkey, Kazakhstan, of other countries. And we believe that our civil servants at the embassy and the national plant protection are very important for us, because I made a figure here about a lot of people, how they look to the civil servants at all kinds of public institutes, but we believe that they're very important for us. We have at the Dutch Ministry of Agriculture a small team, about I think 6 people or something, and they are really specialized in helping us to get entrance to markets in third countries. And they're doing that for all kind of plant material, so not only for potatoes, but also for the bulbs and for the vegetable and fruit and small trees, for example. Very important are the specialists, technical specialists at the NPPO, National Plant Protection Organization, the official organization for the plant protection. And I'm still again going too fast. And of course the Dutch embassies. Some Dutch embassies in third countries have agricultural counselors, and they are the eyes and ears for us, but also for the Dutch government. And we now you have of course close contact with them, because they know what is going on in some countries, for example Egypt or Turkey or whatever. And if we have a delegation from the official government from a country, then it's important that there's somebody in between who can organize the visits, for example. Yeah, the very part of the business of the NEO is lobby. And how can you describe a lobby? We describe it as organized influence on behalf of our members. That's what we try to do. So we have contact mainly, as I said, with the government, with the NPBO, the NAK also. And we believe that's very important. If you do a lobby, be aware of the advantages of the potato. This morning it was already told, it was already said, potato has good nutrition value, for example. For foreign countries, it can be very good to have certified seed potato. In that way you can rise your production quite easily. Potato, you need less water than growing other products. So that's why I believe it is important to say that it is, yeah, all the advantages of the potato. Have a network is of course important, especially at the stakeholders, also with other chain partners, and of course at our ministry. But we also find important also to involve our members, because we can tell something as a secretariat, but the companies know the best what the issues are and what the problems are. So when there is a visit, we try to incorporate also the business, a visit to one of the companies and maybe 1 or 2 growers if possible. And making coalitions, we believe it's important. We have in Holland now called PlantNet. PlantNet is a new organization. It is existing of some organizations like the NEO, but then for other products, like for example the organization for vegetable and fruit, for bulbs and for small trees. And by joining us together, it is now possible to have on a regular basis meetings with the high-level civil servants at the ministry. So that's quite important. If you cooperate together, then you can go further. Very important is, of course, Porbatata, because more and more dossiers are becoming from Europe, and I think Bertha will tell something a little bit more about that later this afternoon. And yeah, maybe the other thing is we cannot do everything, because our members say you have to solve this, you have to solve that, and there is no chlorpro farm anymore, and all potatoes are sprouting nowadays, and yeah, but sometimes it's not realistic to think that we can change everything. Like, for example, the example of chlorpro farm, because there are other things going on in society which yeah, makes it, for example, impossible to get what you want. As you mentioned, in the lobby it's very important to show the advantages of potato, and I think it will be not so difficult. A lot of potato people know it here, of course. If you use certified seeds, for example, in Africa, you can the growers there can easily double the production or even more if they use certified seed, and of course of good varieties. And important also, and that's what I think a lot of people of the NGOs, etc. like, that potatoes fits in the goals, sustainable development goals of the United Nations, like less hunger. Now, if you grow potatoes, good seed potatoes, you can easily improve your production, and it can also raise the income of the farmers. And in the colored blocks, you see the Sustainable Development Goals. You can also find them on the site of the United Nations. In the organogram, I showed also a picture of the foundation of NAO project. I call it sometimes a foundation without money, because we are not financing projects by ourselves, but what we do is we see a lot of challenges for the potato sector, which are mentioned already here. For example, the Green Deal. The European Union wants to have 50% reduction of chemical use, 25% organic. Now in Holland it's only a few percent is organic growing, so that's not that much. So that's really challenging. And the growers, of course, they notice it every day. They don't have to write chemicals anymore to prevent all kinds of diseases. For that reason, research is necessary, also for big seed potato companies. If you want to introduce new resistances, you need some fundamental information sometimes. For that reason, we have the foundation, and foundation supports. And what does that mean? We try to find companies who are interested in a certain subject. For example, there can be bacterial diseases or other things. For example, again, chlorpyrifos, when it disappeared, for the far export, it's very difficult to export, because the potatoes are now starting to sprout, because you do not have a systematic anti-sprouting agency anymore. And yeah, then we find it, then we notice that the companies are willing to join and to cooperate together, and each of them pay a certain amount. And then the idea is that they will get the results of that research. They found it important, of course, because they are paying for that, and the results should become for them. And the foundation in that way is quite successful. What we also do is we support that kind of project with the secretariat. We bring together, we organize the meetings, we take care that the making the invoices is arranged. So we pay, for example, the Wageningen University, and we send the invoices to the companies who pay then the foundation. What do we do further? We have a fieldman who is doing some technical courses about how to inspect potatoes, for example, and also about all kinds of diseases. We have further a 2 years course for mostly new people in the potato sector, to introduce them to the potato sector. And then every month, one day, they come together. So it is an important aspect that they come together, because then the younger people, sometimes also older people, but people working in the potato business come together, they know each other, so you get a kind of group forming. That is the subject also of this afternoon, people. And that is, I think, an important aspect of the course. And besides that, of course, we have to visit to the NAK, the inspection body for the seed potato in the Netherlands, and we visit the ministry, etc. But also, for example, the parliament, and they get the possibility to have a meeting of one of the political parties. So it is broader than only technical speaking about potatoes. It's more or less to getting better the potato sector. Communication is, of course, important. We have a promotion campaign also by the foundation. About 35 companies in Holland are financing promotion, and it's called Power to the People. They're doing a lot of promotion on social media. But yeah, still, we are not a big company like a Unilever or call them Nestle or whatever. So our budget is quite limited. So we have to do it in a smart way. Try to get intentions of influencers on internet, bloggers, etc., vloggers. That's the way we do that. What we further have some protocols. We have one for hygiene, for food safety. If a company is working according to that protocol, then the company is sure that it's working according to the law. And our fieldman once a year visits the company and checks if the company is still working according to that food safety protocol, the hazard protocol. We also have the PCC protocols, more for the seed potato companies and traders, transporters, and also for the growers. And all kinds of hygiene measures are arranged in that protocol. For example, the trucks should be washed every 7 days, or if there's a load in between with something else, it should be washed directly for a second time and disinfected. And we notice that the growers are accepting that protocol, because sometimes you have the feeling they get more and more rules, but this is really in their own interest to get good and safe seed potatoes. So that's a good signal. I think about 95% of seed potato growers now join that protocol, and also a lot of our members are joining the protocol. What we further do, we collect market information, especially the export figures. As I already mentioned, some people are looking at our NAO site. Every month there will be new statistics about that. And the trade condition. I understand Betta will tell us something about, I don't know if she will, but I saw in the program something about RUSEP, that's the European trade condition, and and we have also our national trade conditions. And on voluntary basis, members, traders, packers or whatever, they can use that conditions if they want, and if they don't want, it's also fine. It is a kind of service of the NAO and other partners. They can use it, and based on that, if they have an argument with the grower or other trader about quality or about pricing or whatever, then it is arranged in the conditions. Yeah, the NAO is not standing alone, as I mentioned. I think the Dutch potato chain is quite strong. That is what I believe in Holland, although. We have everything there. We have farmers, 350 varieties of the breeding companies, independent seed certification, which is very important, especially when we have the visits of the foreign delegations. Supply chain well organized, and we have some manufacturers of storage and mechanization equipment. Professional trading companies, now a lot of you know them, I think, already. Processing industry is also there in Holland and also nearby in Belgium, of course, which is the main processing industry country at this moment. And very important is the collaboration between the private sector and the government. And that's what we call the Dutch diamond. That's what we tell mostly also to the foreign visitors when they come to Holland. It is not only the traders, it is not only the seed potato companies, it is not only the packers, not only the machinery, it's everything together. You do it together with the government, with support, with the embassies, with the market entrance team of the Dutch ministry. You have the private business, that are we, of course, and and the breeding companies. And of course, education and research, because you need knowledge, a very important part, and that is Wageningen University. Now here with a picture with some export figures. The yellow one is the export of the processing industry. The green are the ware potatoes, and the red are the seed potatoes. As you can see, and it's not so strange, that the processing industry is becoming very, very important the last decades. And also the seed potato sector is doing it quite well. You can see that in the next slide. But you can also see the last decade, it's more or less stable. Yeah, of course, it's going up and down depending on the circumstances of the weather or whatever. But we do not have enough land in Holland anymore to produce more seed potatoes. So it is more or less the last years about 40,000 hectares. Certified is very important. Certified seed, you can raise your production easily, like I mentioned. It is quite successful because according to FAO figures, Holland has a share of 60% in the international trade in certified seed. That's the blue. And of course we have France and United Kingdom, especially Scotland. And here with a kind of map where our seed potatoes are going. A lot of focus, of course, in the European Union, Belgium, Germany, but also North Africa, Algeria, also Southern Europe, like Portugal is mentioned in the seed, and Middle East. And we have to thank that, I believe, to the cooperation, the so-called Dutch diamond, called diamond. And that was about my, about the Dutch potato organization and the task we have and what we do, and try to make the Dutch potato sector successful. Thank you for your attention.
Obrigada, muito obrigada, Ian, pode sentar-se. Obrigada por ter partilhado conhecimento sobre este vasto universo de atuação da Organização Holandesa da Batata, que é uma das principais organizações europeias e também do mundo. E eu convido agora a intervir Yolanda Medina, da Organização Interprofissional da Batata de Castilha e León, que nos traz um apelo à União.
Boa tarde. Ok. Boa tarde. Não falo português. And the presentation is not in English because the last week we were in Sevilla because we started harvesting potatoes. So we continue in Spanish. And maybe we could understand both. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Yolanda. Estoy muy contenta de estar aquí con vosotros y con Porbatata. ¿Y por qué? Muy fácil. Sois el país que desde España miramos con mucha envidia, porque coméis patatas. Y en España el consumo baja. Y aquí coméis patatas y coméis buenas patatas, buena calidad de patatas. Y sois nuestro país. Desde España, nuestro primer país de exportación de patata sois vosotros. Ahora, desde Sevilla, estamos recolectando patatas para Dinamarca, Polonia, Alemania, pero el país donde más vendemos es aquí. O sea que estamos muy contentos de estar hoy aquí con vosotros. Mi nombre es Yolanda y soy presidenta de una organización interprofesional de patata. En España hablábamos qué hacer, y qué hacer, y qué hacer. Y no hacíamos nada, nada. Y empezamos a unirnos empresas, agricultores, preocupación en los supermercados, y de ahí nace nuestra organización. Ahí veis una fecha, 2016. Ahí comenzamos. Llegó el COVID, el gran problema del COVID, y tuvimos que parar. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué parar? Muy fácil. En España hay una ley que dice: si queremos organizarnos, si queremos una interprofesional, 1 a 1, cada agricultor tiene que firmar y decir sí. ¿Os imagináis? 1 a 1, cada agricultor diciendo sí, cuando el 51%, 51% de los agricultores dijeron sí, empezamos a trabajar. Por eso, en el 2020, nace la primera interprofesional de patatas en España, que es una región, no a nivel de España, porque habría que preguntar a todos los agricultores de patatas de España. Y empezamos nuestra región. Forman parte todas las organizaciones agrarias de patatas, los sindicatos agrarios. Forman parte las cooperativas. Forman parte los embolsadores, las empresas de transformación, las empresas que realizan embolsados pequeños y embolsados grandes. Y con el dinero que pusimos todos, comenzamos a trabajar. ¿Y para qué? ¿Para qué nos juntamos? Lo más importante, en España tenemos que volver a comer batata. No podemos dejar el hueco al arroz, a la pasta. La patata tiene que volver al hogar de forma divertida, cambiando, que necesitamos en España cambiar la forma de consumir patata. Una segunda cosa, necesitamos unir la tecnología al agricultor, la digitalización al agricultor. Tenemos que tener un mercado transparente, agricultor, comerciante, embolsador, consumidor, transparente. Cuanto más transparente sea, más fuertes vamos a ser y conseguiremos el posicionamiento. Un problema en nuestra zona, Castilla y León, sembramos 17.000 hectáreas. El año anterior sembramos 17.000 hectáreas en 3 semanas. Castilla y León tiene que recoger patatas julio, agosto, septiembre, octubre y mediados de noviembre. Y almacenar. Esta semana pasada salían los últimos camiones de agria de las naves. Pero ¿qué pasa si sembramos en 3 semanas? Precios, concentramos, oferta. Julio y agosto tenemos calor, mucho sol, no podemos almacenar, costes altos. Este es uno de los caminos de nuestra interprofesional para trabajar con los agricultores. Tenemos que hacer programas de investigación y desarrollo. Ya estamos haciéndolos, con buenos resultados. Y también hay una ley en España que obliga a que el agricultor cobre las patatas, las zanahorias, las cebollas, el cereal, el maíz, todo, un precio por encima de su coste de producción. Y ahí hemos estado trabajando con todos los eslabones para hacer el modelo de contrato, no contratos de precio, el modelo de contrato que la ley nos obliga. Esa es nuestra región, Castilla y León. Y hemos trabajado, igual que vosotros tenéis Amistata, trabajamos por nuestra marca de calidad de patata de Castilla y León, porque se caracteriza por una cosa, y es que nuestra patata se cría con calor y la piel es morena, no es blanca como uno de Holanda o de Suiza o de Finlandia. Tenemos calor y tenemos que defender el producto porque tenemos calor. Y si tenemos calor, tenemos sabor. Por eso, el consumo de la variedad agria en España sube cada vez más. Ahora, en los lineales, en los supermercados, hay patata de Israel, patata de Francia y patata de España, de Castilla y León, agria. Cada vez se vende más patata de la nuestra, de España, de la agria, porque somos un país, España, que fríe patatas. Hacemos tortilla de patatas. La piel no es la de Israel, no es blanquita, no. Eso es lo que le queremos hablar con el consumidor. El aspecto externo. La piel no se come. La patata no es un florero. Hay que pelar y comer y disfrutar comiendo. Otro proyecto muy importante es la teledetección. ¿Y por qué digo que es importante? Ahí veis todas nuestras provincias y ahí se ve las hectáreas arrancadas en una fecha. Concretamente, Es un ejemplo del otro año, del 15 de septiembre, donde prácticamente más del 85% de patata estaba arrancada. Y os he dicho que tenemos que arrancar julio, agosto, septiembre, octubre, mediados de noviembre. El 15 de septiembre habíamos arrancado, salvo patata de industria, la totalidad de la patata de consumo. La metimos de golpe en el mercado, los precios bajaron y luego no teníamos patatas. Fuimos a comprar y ¿qué hicieron los precios? Subir. Este es un problema que tenemos en nuestra zona. Con estas herramientas que se las damos al agricultor, puedes saber por fechas qué porcentaje en las distintas zonas está cosechado, en crecimiento, seca o quemada la mata, para intentar regular oferta y demanda. Estos son los modelos de contratos que este año se va a trabajar los agricultores con las empresas, donde se marcan los defectos, donde se marca la forma de pago, donde se marca qué producción se contrata y si hay algún problema, antes de ir al juzgado, se habla entre la interprofesional para ayudar, colaborar, resolver cualquier problema. Clorprofan, que ha comentado. En España, a diferencia de Portugal, cuando eliminaron el clorprofan, el CIPC, solo podíamos usar la menta. Nuestro país no permitía nada. Desde la interprofesional presentamos documentación, hicimos valoraciones, porque a la casa les habían denegado ningún producto más, ni el aceite de naranja, ni naftaleno, ninguno. Y fue gracias al trabajo de la interprofesional que conseguimos que esta campaña pudiéramos tratar las patatas como otros países de la Unión Europea. Pero en octubre todavía no nos habían dicho que sí. Un problema gravísimo hubiera sido para la patata de España y de alrededores, porque hubiéramos inundado todos los mercados de alrededor, porque no podíamos almacenar solo con aceite de naranja. Trabajos que hace la interprofesional respecto a las semillas, controlar parcelas para detectar problemas, como el otro año que tuvimos mucho virus I. Esta foto os quiero enseñar porque han sido las primeras reuniones que se ha hecho en España, las primeras reuniones en el año 2021. La primera, estamos en el campo con los jefes de compras de los supermercados. Era la primera vez que iban al campo. La primera vez que pisaban la tierra. La primera vez que cogían patatas del suelo. ¿Y sabéis lo más importante? La primera vez que hablaban con los agricultores, de tú a tú. Fue nuestro arranque como interprofesional. A partir de ahí, hemos tenido muchas reuniones con la distribución que vamos juntando caminos, dialogando, hablando, expresando los problemas que tenemos aquí, en España, en la Unión Europea, frente a otros productos, otras patatas de terceros países, etc. La segunda foto, nos acercamos al consumidor. Fuimos al consumidor a demostrar por qué hay que comer patatas. La tercera es una campaña de publicidad con un gran cocinero en España. Lo hicimos con la variedad agria. El aspecto externo no es, digamos, lo habitual. Agria lavada, frita perfectamente, un color amarillo, sabrosa, tersa, dura. La siguiente es una jornada que se hizo hacia el agricultor, en el que Porbatata, de la mano de Sandra Pereira, estuvo con nosotros hablando de lo que estáis haciendo aquí. Y las últimas 2 jornadas es la continuación con la distribución, buscando un objetivo, que es cambiar los estándares externos de lavabilidad de las patatas, porque seguimos hablando de 7,25 de color de lavado, de 7,75, de 8,25 de hace 30 años, cuando las variedades han cambiado y cuando tenemos más calor que hace 30 años. Esto no puede ser. Hay que cambiar. Hay que enseñar a los jefes de calidad de los supermercados por qué la piel no es la de hace 10 años, por qué ya no se almacena bajando temperaturas y manteniendo la piel externa. Y eso hay que hacer muchas reuniones con ellos. Es nuevo para ellos, hablo de España, ¿eh? Es diferente. Y la última es una jornada que hacemos unido a la salud y al deporte, porque comer patata es igual a salud. La patata no engorda. 100 gramos de patata cocida tiene las mismas calorías que una manzana. ¿Y por qué nos echan en las dietas? Porque somos hidratos de carbono, pero somos de los buenos, es que no somos de los malos. Por eso tenemos que estar ahí, en esas campañas. ¿Y en qué seguimos? Seguimos en muchos proyectos. Uno de ellos son los niños, los colegios. Hay huertos en nuestras zonas, en los colegios, y un niño tiene que plantar una patata, tiene que regarla, tiene que sacarla, tiene que hacerse a la patata, no a la pasta, que ya la sabe, a la patata. Otro proyecto que hemos iniciado es el biogás. Tenemos problemas en las patatas. Hay una helada, un pedrisco, una lluvia, un alfilerillo que no tenemos nada. ¿Y qué hacemos con esas patatas y ese agricultor? Hay que dar una solución y hay que dar una salida. El agricultor trabaja de continuo, expone su dinero. La empresa que está detrás también y necesita el producto. Quiere comprarlo en su zona, a sus agricultores. Si salen problemas, no es problema del consumidor, no es problema del agricultor. Hay que intentar buscar solución. Una vez más, reitero las gracias porque siempre Portugal nos acoge muy bien y porque ojalá aprendamos cómo cocinar las patatas, como hacéis aquí, y que consigamos incrementar el consumo de patatas. Nos tenéis para lo que necesitéis. Muchas gracias.
Muito obrigada, Yolanda. Eu gostaria de convidar agora para o palco Frederico Falcão da Vini Portugal. Penso que já estará aqui connosco, a se juntar a nós. Se quiser, pode ir para o púlpito já direto. O tempo passa depressa quando estamos em boa companhia e por isso eu faço um apelo para cumprirmos o horário. Temos pouco mais de meia hora para terminar. Obrigada.
A sessão que eu acho que está aqui. Muito obrigado. Muito bem. Muito boa tarde a todos. Bem-vindos à minha terra, porque eu agora vivo em Alcochete, portanto, bem-vindos à minha terra. Embora eu tenha vindo de Santarém, que nós estamos agora com o concurso mundial de vinhos. Eu não percebo nada de batata, mas a minha vida, sou consumidor de batata, consumo batata, muita, mas a minha vida são vinhos, portanto toda a minha vida profissional tem estado ligada aos vinhos. Atualmente sou presidente da Vini Portugal, que é a associação interprofissional que representa o setor dos vinhos, e eu já vou desenvolver isto um pouco mais. Portanto, a Vini Portugal é uma associação interprofissional, fez no ano passado 25 anos de existência, começou em 1996, mas foi reconhecida enquanto Organização Interprofissional do Vinho em 2015, em outubro de 2015. É, aliás, a única associação interprofissional reconhecida no setor dos vinhos e que representa todo o país, todos os agricultores, todos os viticultores e vendedores de vinho, enfim, em Portugal, ou comerciantes de vinho, melhor dizendo. A nossa missão é promover a imagem de Portugal, portanto, promovendo a excelência desta marca, valorizando esta marca Wines of Portugal, ou Vinhos de Portugal, em função dos países onde estamos a promover, sendo que o nosso objetivo é continuar a crescer, e já vou mostrar um bocadinho aquilo que tem sido o crescimento do setor dos vinhos nos últimos anos, mas sobretudo assente em valor e em preço médio. Nós queremos aumentar a nossa exportação em preço médio, queremos trazer sustentabilidade ao setor. Nós já exportamos cerca de 47% daquilo que produzimos, em termos de vinhos, em média, e portanto não temos palco, porque somos, como sabem, os maiores consumidores de vinhos per capita no mundo, são os portugueses, e portanto nós também temos muito consumo interno de vinho e exportamos quase metade, 47% em média. Portanto, o nosso caminho tem que ser crescer em valor, crescer em preço médio, portanto, vendendo cada vez mais caro e garantindo, de alguma forma, a sustentabilidade deste setor. Como é que se organiza o setor dos vinhos? Portanto, tem um Instituto da Vinha e do Vinho do qual eu fui presidente durante também 6 anos, portanto, eu conheço relativamente bem este setor e toda a sua dinâmica, que depende do Ministério da Agricultura. Portanto, o IVV, Instituto da Vinha e do Vinho, regula todo o setor, portanto é o único setor de atividade agrícola que tem um instituto próprio a regulá-lo, é o setor dos vinhos, que não depende de verbas públicas. O setor é pago por 2 taxas, aquilo que está ali indicado como TP e TCC. O TP é uma taxa de promoção e o TCC é uma taxa de coordenação e controle, ou seja, quem introduz vinhos no mercado, basicamente os produtores de vinho, ao introduzirem vinho no mercado, pagam ao IVV, ao Instituto, 2 taxas. Taxa de promoção, taxa de coordenação e controle. Estamos a falar nas duas taxas somadas serem um pouco mais de 1 cêntimo por garrafa ou por litro. Essa verba é colhida pelo IVV, portanto são entre 10 e 11 milhões de euros por ano e, portanto, é isto que financia o próprio Instituto, tem 0 cêntimos do Orçamento de Estado, e esta TP, que é a taxa de promoção, vem depois quase toda, eu diria cerca de 80% desta verba, vem para a Vini Portugal, para a organização que é privada e que tem esta missão de promover os vinhos no mundo. Portanto, no fundo, as nossas verbas de promoção são uma taxa para-fiscal que o IVV colhe e não temos verbas do Orçamento de Estado. Depois, debaixo do IVV estão aquelas entidades que estão ali designadas, o IVDP, que é um instituto mais pequeno, o Instituto de Vinhos de Douro e Porto, estão as Comissões Vitivinícolas Regionais, ali indicadas como CVRs, o IVBAM, que é o Instituto da Madeira, e a CVR Açores. Portanto, todos eles abaixo do IVV a fazerem a certificação dos vinhos. No nosso caso, somos uma entidade privada, de utilidade pública, ao sermos interprofissional, e temos esta missão de promover Portugal, os vinhos de Portugal, pelo mundo fora. Portanto, nós, Vini Portugal, promovemos a marca País, nós estamos muito focados em promover País, a marca País. As próprias CVRs, IVBAM e VDP promovem as marcas regiões, mas sempre em coordenação connosco, e depois os próprios produtores, sejam eles cooperativas ou privados, promovem as suas marcas próprias. Objetivos estratégicos desta marca Wines of Portugal, Vinhos de Portugal, é naturalmente incrementar a notoriedade da marca Vinhos de Portugal, melhorar o seu posicionamento e afirmar, e nós estamos cada vez mais a conseguir isto, afirmarmos como hotspot mundial dos vinhos. Ou seja, hoje em dia, se há 15, 20 anos atrás, muitos consumidores fora de Portugal não conheciam Portugal, nem sabiam que Portugal tinha vinhos, e muitos jornalistas não ligavam a Portugal, jornalistas especializados do setor. Hoje é o contrário. Hoje somos um polo de atração. Hoje nós vamos lá fora e as nossas ações estão cheias. E vemos as ações dos nossos concorrentes diretos, Chile, Argentina, Espanha, Itália, França, o que for, e não tem nem de pensar a nossa afluência em termos de consumidores ou de interessados no setor. Portanto, estamos a conseguir afirmar como um hotspot mundial dos vinhos. Temos este objetivo estratégico até 2023, de alcançar os 1.000 milhões em exportação. Estamos muito perto deste valor. Provavelmente iremos atingi-lo antes da meta estabelecida. Sendo que olhamos para a Nova Zelândia, porque a Nova Zelândia cresceu muito rápido e cresceu com um bom posicionamento em preço. E, portanto, olhamos muito para o exemplo da Nova Zelândia. Aquilo que nos diferencia no mundo, em termos de vinhos, é a nossa diversidade em termos de solos, de climas, de castas. Nós temos um património genético fantástico, nós temos mais de 250 castas autóctones, temos uma variabilidade enorme dentro do país em termos de solos e de clima, e portanto é isto que nos permite afirmarmos diferentes no mundo. Nem melhores, nem piores, mas diferentes. Nós chamamos a World of Diversity, portanto nós somos a World of Difference, nós somos de facto um mundo cheio de complexidade interna e é essa complexidade que tentamos passar para fora. Portanto, nós estamos obviamente no chamado Novo Mundo e somos a costa oeste da Europa. Eu não sei se já se aperceberam, quando vamos aos vinhos, quando vamos ao setor dos vinhos, onde se produzem vinhos é sempre na costa oeste de todos os continentes e entre os paralelos 30 e 50 norte e 30 e 50 sul. Portanto, vamos à margem sul, temos o Chile e a Argentina, depois temos a África do Sul, lá embaixo a zona de Cape Town, de Stellenbosch, e vamos à Austrália, são precisamente as costas ocidentais. Vamos ao hemisfério norte, Estados Unidos, Califórnia, portanto a costa oeste. A costa oeste da Europa somos nós, é Portugal. Portanto, nós estamos exatamente na costa oeste do continente, neste caso do continente europeu, que são as zonas onde se produzem os grandes vinhos do mundo. Portanto, temos mais de 250 castas autóctones, somos o primeiro país da Europa em termos de densidade de castas autóctones, castas únicas, castas que são nossas. Somos o nono país do mundo em termos de área de vinha e o nono país do mundo em termos de comercialização de vinhos. E em termos de produção, éramos o 11º e no ano passado passámos a ser o 10º produtor mundial de vinhos. Produzimos no ano passado cerca de 7,3 milhões de hectolitros, exportámos quase 926 milhões de euros, foi um bocadinho mais do que está ali. Como eu já referi, exportámos cerca de 47% daquilo que produzimos. Para explicar um bocadinho aquilo que tem sido as nossas exportações desde o início da Vini Portugal, portanto podem ver ali 3 fases de crescimento. As colunas são valor e a linha é volume. Temos uma primeira fase de crescimento muito acentuada, depois uma ligeira estagnação e, sobretudo, nos últimos 10 anos, o crescimento tem sido muito acentuado. Estes últimos 10 anos prende-se com a criação da marca Vinhos Portugal, que é a marca que nós usamos muito bandeira lá fora, e, portanto, com isto conseguimos criar uma imagem país mais forte, termos uma marca país, que é aquela que está em cima, preto, no fundo preto. Esta marca país ajudou-nos muito na nossa visibilidade mais fora, e isto reproduziu-se depois nas nossas vendas, e também alguns apoios comunitários que começaram precisamente em 2009, 2010, que nos ajudou, sobretudo fora da Europa, a crescer de uma forma um bocadinho mais rápida. Este gráfico é interessante porque eu não sei se têm noção, mas há 20 anos atrás, 65% das nossas exportações eram vinho do Porto, em valor. 65% era vinho do Porto. Envolvidos 20 anos, neste caso 21 anos, o quadro inverteu-se. O Porto representa cerca de 36%. Portanto, há 20 anos 35% era não Porto, agora 36% é Porto. Portanto, o quadro inverteu-se completamente por grande crescimento dos vinhos não Porto. Portanto, o trabalho e a afirmação que os vinhos de Portugal têm feito no mundo tem ajudado a este crescimento, sendo que o Porto cresce, mas muito menos, os vinhos não Porto é que têm crescido a um ritmo muitíssimo maior. Em termos de estratégia para 2022, portanto, nós estamos a atuar em cerca de 21 mercados, Portugal incluído. Temos um orçamento de 8,3 milhões. Reforço que este nosso orçamento vem desta taxa parafiscal que o IVV colhe e algumas verbas europeias. Nós temos também uma OCM própria, temos um envelope financeiro próprio da União Europeia. Portanto, as nossas fontes de financiamento são esta verba do IVV, alguma verba que vem da OCM, e a diferença de valor é aquilo que nós vamos buscar aos agentes económicos quando vão às nossas ações. E, portanto, isto tudo totaliza um orçamento a rondar os 8,3 milhões de euros, sendo que a maior parte, cerca de 66%, é para fora da Europa. Estão ali alinhados os países, como veem, forte investimento nos Estados Unidos, no Canadá, no Brasil, na China, e depois o segundo são feiras internacionais, umas na Europa, outras fora da Europa. Portanto, nós temos muitos eventos, cerca de 47 eventos, 58 ações de educação, 7 feiras, 8 ações de promoção, etc, etc. O facto de nós nos termos tornado interprofissional em 2015 permite-nos até abrir muitas portas que nós não estamos ainda a abrir porque não temos necessidade, ou seja, o setor dos vinhos organizou-se muito cedo e funciona bem, sem grandes apoios do Estado, e não precisamos muito do Estado, antes pelo contrário, quanto menos Estado tivermos, melhor estamos. Queremos é que ninguém nos atrapalhe, porque nós estamos a fazer o nosso caminho, de alguma maneira. Aquilo que eu ouvi agora há pouco da batata em relação à aplicação de um produto que eu não conheço, mas um tratamento da batata e que o governo espanhol proibiu, e o facto de ser interprofissional, conseguiram ter uma voz maior e chegar junto do governo e conseguir alterar esses parâmetros porque eram razoáveis em termos de saúde pública, digamos assim. Há muitas vantagens nas associações interprofissionais, desde logo poder cobrar uma taxa ao próprio setor. Nós na Vini Portugal não o cobramos porque já temos uma taxa que já estava definida antes pelo IVV e a taxa acaba por vir parar a nós, mas temos muitas armas que nos podem ajudar a crescer de uma forma mais sustentável e, sobretudo, sem estar muito dependente de grandes oscilações, digamos que acima de nós. O setor dos vinhos tem feito um caminho de sucesso, de facto temos conseguido atingir os nossos objetivos todos, estamos muito organizados desde o início e, portanto, daquilo que me toca, enquanto Vini Portugal, enquanto setor dos vinhos, e sobretudo se precisarem de fazer um caminho no sentido interprofissional, estamos totalmente disponíveis para ajudar, para que o setor também da batata possa crescer da forma como nós temos vindo a crescer. Muito obrigado.
Muito obrigada. Passo agora a palavra a Berta Redondo, da Europatat, sobre a experiência associativa na Europa.
Well, thank you. I think I have the difficult task of being the last speaker of the day, so I hope you're not very tired. I'll try to keep it short, so maybe we have time to discuss with the rest of the speakers, which I think is more interesting. So I'm Berta Redondo. I'm the Secretary General of Europatat, which is the European Potato Trade Association. First of all, I would like to thank Porbatata for the invitation, for having us here, and for all the organization that has been incredible, well done. So Europatat, well, I'm seeing that the screen is a bit cut here, but okay, it's fine. So who is Europatat? So we represent potato traders since 1952. So if you make a quick calculation, we are turning 70 years old this year. I was saying before to someone that we are even older than some European treaties. So the experience of Europatat in Europe is coming from a long way. We currently represent 64 members, because we had a new one recently, in 20 countries. So basically, here, I think you will see. So we represent national associations. So, for example, NAO, Porbatata in Spain is FEPEX. But we also represent companies that either trade with seed potatoes, that trade with ware potatoes, that are packers. So you can see there the full list of members that I'm sure that you will recognize some names. And we also have some associated members who are the ones that are not potato traders, but that they have some interest in our sector. So this is what we call the Europatat family, because yes, we consider ourselves as a family. And of course, in this family, as I said, Porbatata is present. So we are based in Brussels. Why in Brussels? Well, as you all know, the EU institutions are there. We are the European lobby for the potato trade, so makes sense that we are in the capital of Europe, because we work with the European Commission, we work with the European Parliament, with the European Agency for Food Safety, and then it's a pity that you cannot see it on that side of the screen, but we work with the entire chain of the potato, let's say, value chain. We work with Copa Cogeca, who represent farmers. We work with Start Europe. We work with EUPA, which are the association representing potato processors, and we work also with Euroseeds, who are the ones representing the breeders from the point of view of the breeding. Then, so what do we do? I think the definition of Europatat is a lobby, as Jan was playing before. We have different objectives. The first of all, I would say, is getting together everyone in the sector. So no matter if you are a small company, small trader, a big breeding company, association from, let's say, a big producing potato country, an association for a small potato producing country, everyone sits at the same table with the same power. All the members have the same right to vote. So we connect the sector, we hear what are the problems of the sector, and then we work with the institutions or with the governments to find solutions for the problems. Yolanda mentioned before the case of the CAPC, that thanks to the work that we did with the other EU associations on the potato value chain, we managed to have this temporary MRL. But we also do, we also promote potatoes, and I think that's one of the messages that we've heard today, that the fresh potato market needs to be promoted. We need to tell people how potatoes are healthy, how are they sustainable, how are they versatile, and that's something that we also do thanks to a European campaign that I will show you a bit later. We, of course, we also facilitate the collection and the sharing of data within our members, and yeah, again, we organize events and meetings so everyone can, you know, can sit in the same table and discuss the problems or the challenges of the sector. So how are we organized? So Porbatata is made of its member. Every member pays a fee, and that's where how we build our budget. We have a general assembly, who is the, let's say, when all the members get together. And then, of course, we have a board, advisory committee, and the secretariat, who we are based in Brussels. And then to work together and be more, let's say, effective, we have different commissions, as we call them. So let's say there are like working groups. So each, let's say, part of our members are represented. So we have one for the seed potato commission, early, where packers, the technical and regulatory, that we discuss topics more like pesticides, like this kind of things that affects to everyone. And then we have also the RUSIP commission that I will explain you later for those who are not familiar with RUSIP, what is it. So our activities, what we call the lobbying, the interest representations, and intelligence gathering. So the different topics that we, from on one side, we hear what is happening in Brussels, what the Commission, the institutions are saying, and then from the other side, we hear what the sector thinks about it, and then we negotiate. Public affairs and networking, so again, our annual congress, coming to different countries to explain what we do. Information and communication, so we have different tools. We have two internal newsletters. We are on social media. We are very active on that side. We send emails to members when it's needed. Of course, the secretariat and the membership development, which is more the relationship with our members. And then we hold also the secretariat of the European Secretariat of RUSIP. I'm not going to mention all the topics because, as you can see, we cover a lot of things. Perhaps I would just mention a bit about the promotion campaign, because I think it's the topic that we have been discussing more today, on how to promote fresh potatoes, how to increase the potato consumption, because as Yolanda said, Spain is not the only country that is reducing the consumption of potatoes. We are seeing the trend in many countries in Europe. So this campaign is co-financed by the European Commission. We are 4 partners, so Porbatata as the umbrella organization, and then partners in France, in Flanders in Belgium, and in Ireland. And the objective is to promote the consumption of fresh potatoes within millennials. So those people that they think that potatoes are boring, that potatoes are fattening, that potatoes, you can only do puree and, I don't know, fries with potatoes, which is not true. So what do we do? So we have a 100% digital campaign. So we are on social media, and we prepare 100 of recipes, potato recipes per year. So by the end of this year, by the end of the project, we will have 300 potato recipes, just to show the versatility of potatoes and also the way of cooking, because sometimes people think, young people can think that potatoes take a lot of time to cook, and sometimes it's not true. You just need to know how to do it. So I invite you all to check the website. It's called potatosurprises.eu. You have also different recipes in different languages. Unfortunately, Portuguese recipes are not there, but well, you have them in English and Spanish. And I think this is a way to show that, we need to be, to be proud of our product, because with all the difference that you can have, as Yolanda was saying before, in Spain, in Castilla y León, they could be more tanned. In the north, they can be more white, but in any case, they are European, it's a local product, and we need to work on that, because this morning, I think it was Cedric Porter who was showing how the trends for the potatoes that goes for the industry are growing. So we need to protect also the fresh market. And having said that, Porbatata also asked me to talk about RUSIP. So RUSIP is the rules and practices of inter-European trade in potatoes. So RUSIP is a system that, let's say, avoids going to, let's say, the conventional law justice, let's say, if there is any problems within potatoes. So I heard that in Castilla y León you are now setting up also kind of an arbitration or like understanding system. This system has been working for many, many years. So the main idea is that with RUSIP you have the possibility to ask for an expertise or for an arbitration if there is a conflict of opinions in a contract. Who can use RUSIP is all the professionals in the potato chain. So it can be a producer, it can be a trader, he can be a processor. So the only thing you need to do is to always include a clear reference on the contract to RUSIP. So maybe that's something that we will discuss that you can also mention in the new contracts in Castilla y León. This is also working for all the, let's say, European countries. So it means that if you're trading in Portugal and then you have a problem in Portugal, you can use RUSIP. But if you are trading, if you're a Portuguese trader and you are selling your potatoes, I don't know, in Germany, and there is a problem, you can also call, let's say, RUSIP to intervene. So it's not only a local level. Well, you have more information on the website, on rusip.eu. I think that the advantages of RUSIP are it's a faster procedure because, yeah, you don't need to wait that the lawyer and the local, let's say, judge and the appeal, the courts. So this is something that we manage ourselves. The second thing is that you can be assured that professionals for the potato sector are involved. So if there is, for example, an arbitration hearing, you know that, for example, the president of the arbitration is going to be someone from the sector, of course, on a, let's say, independent position, but you can be sure that it's someone that is going to understand what is the problem there. Then, of course, confidentiality and precise, practical, and reliability. So just a bit on how we organize. So RUSIP is owned by the European Committee. The European Committee is formed by Porbatata, so the potato traders, and EUPA, which is the European Processors Association. So then we have the European Secretariat in Brussels. So from Brussels, we run the daily, let's say, invoices, payments, all these kind of things, communication. And then the European Delegate Office, so the person who is, let's say, receiving the demand for a new, for example, arbitration case, is Mrs. Christina Pohlmann, and she is based in Germany. Very important. As I was saying before, if you have, for example, a case and a problem within a contract within two parts in Portugal, then let's say the case stays in Portugal. And how? Because the country needs to have a national secretariat. Currently, I know that Sandra is putting a lot of effort on building and creating the national RUSIP secretariat in Portugal. And because nowadays they are based in Czech Republic, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, Switzerland, and the UK. What happens, let's say, if in Portugal there's still no national secretariat, and then you are trading again with someone in Germany or in France? Then the case goes to the European delegate. So there's always the possibility to claim that and to start a case. This is just to, I mean, I'm not going to read everything. This is just to clarify a bit what is the difference between the European Secretariat. So we are based in Brussels. So as I said, the day-to-day administration, answers to general queries, organization of meetings. But then the European delegate, as I was explaining before, is responsible for the arbitration of cases. So it's responsible for appointing the different experts that are going to be, let's say, called for a case, for the expertise request. And then, of course, she's also helping Porbatata for the budget and these kind of things. So the rules, RUSIP was created many years ago in 1956. So as you can understand, the potato trade has changed a lot in these years. So the RUSIP rules have been modified several times in order to adapt to the demands of the sector. The latest version is from 2017, and these rules are currently being revised by the Porbatata's RUSIP working group. Just to, as is said there, the new rules are expected to finalize this year. So what about the next steps for RUSIP? So I think once the rules have been revised, the next thing we want to do is to organize experts and arbitration trainings, for example, here in Portugal. So you can start running the Portuguese Secretariat, guidelines on how to open a RUSIP National Secretariat, and of course, a further promotion of RUSIP, because I think for the ones that they know RUSIP and they've been working for RUSIP, I don't need to explain them how it works. But for the one that they don't know it, sometimes I get questions like, oh, this is very interesting, we would like to know more. So the idea is to further promote and further speak about RUSIP. And then I'm coming to the end of my presentation, but I would like to mention before that we are holding our annual event in Dublin, right before the World Potato Congress. This is a great opportunity for the potato trade sector to get together again, because thanks to COVID, we have been 2 years meeting through screen, and I think it's time to get in person again. So if you have any questions, you want to join us, please contact us, because we would be very glad to welcome you. More information on the Porbatata-congress.eu website. And then thanks for the listening. Thanks for being patient and getting to this point of the day. Again, I would very much encourage you to visit the website of our project. So you have it there. It's preparedtobesurprised.eu. And of course, to follow us on social media. We are on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And of course, if you have any questions, we are here to reply to you. Thank you.
Obrigada. Assim já está. Resta-nos muito pouco tempo, mas eu gostava já de fazer uma pergunta a todos e aproveitar que aqui estão. E no fundo é um bocado em jeito de conclusão de todas estas intervenções. Como é que conseguiram realmente envolver os produtores em torno de uma ideia coletiva? O que é que foi efetivamente determinante ou o que é ainda hoje determinante para conseguirem manter esse interesse do setor em envolver-se e em estar organizado? Yolanda, ¿quer comenzar?
A nosotros, por lo menos, lo que vemos es que, igual que ha estado comentando el compañero, ¿no? en la interprofesional del vino, si realmente estamos avanzando, estando organizados en poder hablar con el consumidor, cosa que hasta ahora no teníamos esa herramienta. Los agricultores venden a las empresas, a los empaquetadores, a las empresas, y después, cuando acaban de vender, al año siguiente hay que cambiar variedades, distancia de siembra, nos eliminan productos fitosanitarios y no podíamos hablar con nadie, no podíamos explicar nada. Desde la organización, primero, ya tenemos voz, podemos hablar, antes no. Y en segundo lugar, hemos conseguido, en nuestro caso en España, que el Ministerio de Agricultura nos escuche a nivel de productos fitosanitarios tan importantes que están haciendo una estrategia en la Unión Europea, la granja a la mesa, sostenibilidad, reducir agua de riego, reducir fertilizantes. Pero todo es esto. Y hay que llegar al consumidor y hay que hablar con la distribución, con la hostelería y con los mercados. Con eso es lo que hemos conseguido con la Unión, la primera vez que se habla.
Frederico, no caso da Vini Portugal, já tem uma vasta experiência. Obrigada. Há pouco falou também da importância da marca e de como este chapéu resultou. Isso não acontece em todos os setores. No vinho, como é que foi? Sobretudo porque cada produtor tem uma marca e já tem estratégias de comunicação muito fortes. Como é que conseguiram convencê-los que era importante estar lá debaixo do mesmo chapéu?
Bem, o vinho tem um começo fácil, porque tinha o Instituto da Vinha e do Vinho. No fundo, já tinha um instituto próprio que representava o setor junto do Ministério da Agricultura, público, mas que já representava o setor. E o próprio Instituto tem um conselho consultivo, onde estão várias associações, onde está a CAP, onde está a FENADEGAS, onde está a CIBEV, a FENAVI, FEVIPOR, a AND, várias associações, quer do comércio, quer de produção, que já faziam parte do Conselho Consultivo do IVV. Portanto, no fundo, o Conselho Consultivo opinava sobre as várias matérias do setor junto do IVV e, portanto, já se faziam ouvir de alguma maneira. Alguns nos anos 90, e a Vini Portugal surgiu de um estudo Porter, nos anos 90, em que definia um bocadinho a estratégia para este nosso setor dos vinhos. E então, nessa altura, estas associações que compunham o Conselho Consultivo quiseram formar a Vini Portugal, uma associação privada, composta por estas mesmas associações, e que depois mais tarde veio a ser interprofissional, com a grande vantagem, como foi dito aqui, de haver uma voz. Ou seja, se houver muitas associações, é mais difícil fazer chegar a nossa voz, aquilo que é a vontade do setor, às instituições públicas. No caso, nós já tínhamos o IVV, mas agora com a Vini Portugal, nos últimos 25 anos, com a Vini Portugal é mais fácil sermos ouvidos e é mais fácil fazermos chegar a nossa voz e aquilo que são as nossas necessidades estratégicas ao Ministério da Agricultura. Também porque a promoção, na altura, estas verbas já existiam, estas taxas não existiam exatamente assim, aliás foram mudadas por mim em 2012, existia uma taxa única e depois foi partida em dois, mas a promoção era definida pelo Estado, era definida pelo próprio Instituto da Vinha e do Vinho. Isto não fazia sentido, fazia sentido que fosse o próprio setor a dizer onde é que queria investir, como, quanto, etc. E, portanto, daqui, mais uma vez, a necessidade de vir em Portugal. A marca Portugal surgiu porque o setor de vinho não é tanto uma commodity, portanto, há as marcas privadas e as pessoas, no fundo, cada garrafa tem a sua marca e tem o seu mercado e a sua estratégia, etc. Mas era preciso uma marca coletiva para que nós nos conseguíssemos afirmar melhor no mundo. Eu viajei muito, até antes de estar na Vini Portugal e antes de estar no IVV, porque fui durante 18 anos enólogo, portanto, durante 18 anos fiz vinho e andava eu a vendê-lo também e tratava das vinhas, e chegava lá fora e as pessoas não conheciam, não conheciam Portugal, e depois nem sabia que Portugal tinha vinhos. Eu apanhei isto em muitos sítios do mundo. E de alguma forma nós sentimos que, tendo uma marca país, que foi criada depois em 2010, esta marca Vinhos Portugal, Wines of Portugal, tendo uma marca país, nós mais rapidamente conseguimos criar uma umbrella, um efeito chapéu sobre todas as marcas de vinhos portuguesas. Primeiro marca país, depois marcas regiões e depois as marcas privadas por baixo. Portanto, foi uma estratégia que nós seguimos logo do início, não logo desde o início, mas em 2010, portanto já há 12 anos, e que se tem resultado muito bem em termos do sucesso coletivo dos vinhos de Portugal. Creio que nos tem ajudado a todos, em termos de Portugal, e as marcas privadas a conseguirem se afirmar no mundo com mais identidade e crescer em valor, que é o que queremos.
Também se falou aqui em lobby, que é uma palavra aqui em Portugal muito temida, e Ani, eu queria aproveitar aqui a sua presença também para nos explicar de que forma é que isso é fundamental para defender os interesses dos agricultores e de como na Holanda em particular não há qualquer questão com esta palavra. Aqui em Portugal ainda temos muito medo de... Já não, Rodrigo, já não é assim. Queria que só contasse um pouco essa experiência e de como é que isso é importante também para a valorização da própria organização.
Yeah, the NAO is specialized for traders, so not especially for farmers, but we cooperate a lot with the farmer organization. Yeah, and lobby, we have contact with our ministry and our MPPO. And in Holland, even it's a situation that, for example, the National Plant Protection Organization has a kind of advisory board. And all organizations like the NAO, the processing industry, and also the Farmer Association can give their opinion about all kinds of dossiers which are going on. So that is also, I think, a kind of lobby. And if there is really an issue about a decision or coming decision which you don't like, then we try to take contact with the MPPO or our ministry. And that's why it's important to have good contacts with them. For example, also the ministry organizes sometimes meetings about certain dossiers, for example, and then we are invited. So you know the people. We are not going on a birthday when they celebrate a birthday or something, but it's more professional relation, and we know where the people are, the civil servants, and what they are doing. And if they have really an issue, we know how to find them. And we try to convince them. And sometimes also what we do is when there are new people working at the government or kind of organization related to the government, then we try to invite them and organize a visit, for example, to some companies or one company. And so they get an impression of what the sector is doing. And they got also a little bit of feeling about what's going on in the sector. On a political level, we don't lobby that much, then there should really be an issue. Because we always start at the lowest level, also at the National Plant Protection Organization, Ministry also. We don't start writing letters to the director or the Minister of Agriculture or something. You always try to find a solution with the people at the lower level, and if that is not really possible, they are slowly going up. So that is how we work. And sometimes you realize it is not possible to get what you want. What I mentioned, for example, with chlorpropam, it was forbidden because of health reasons, maybe good reasons also in the European Union. And it's very difficult for our members, of course, to accept that. But yeah, of course we try, and then we speak to people of the ministry, and then we already hear, yeah, but that's impossible what you want. It will disappear, whatever you do, because there is no no engagement to keep such a kind of chemical, for example. So, yeah, that's how we do it.
Muito obrigada, Berto. Este também é um lado muito importante da Porbatata, mas chegámos à altura que é preciso fazer lobby junto do consumidor para voltar a pôr a batata no centro da mesa e deitar abaixo estes preconceitos que têm nascido, não sei muito bem de onde, mas numa ideia que a batata engorda, que faz mal, que, enfim, que não é um alimento saudável. Este é o novo lobby que é preciso fazer para o setor.
Yes, I mean, potatoes are healthy, and this is something, that's why, for example, in this campaign, in the 3 countries that the 3 main targets of the campaign, which, as I mentioned, were France, Ireland, and Flanders, in Belgium, they work a lot with influencers. Because, of course, this campaign is about convincing millennials, so young people, that potatoes have a place in their daily lives. So we have worked a lot with influencers, and within those influencers, there were also some nutritionists. And because it's really true, if you look at the nutrition, if you look at balanced diets, if you look at the European National Food Nutrition Guidelines, this is a special name for this, potatoes are always included. And potatoes, what you have to teach is how you cook potatoes. Is that what influences the number of calories? And there's many ways of preparing potatoes. So I think, yeah, the discussion on nutrition and sustainability, of course, because we know that young people are looking more and more about sustainability, about how food is produced, about now everything is talking about pesticides, about these things that before I think they were not mentioned at the consumer level. So I think any promotion campaign now on fresh potatoes should include also the nutrition part, and to show how many vitamins potatoes have, which is true. As you were mentioning before, Yolanda, the 100 grams of potatoes, what is the value of that? And I think, that's in our case, it's not the main message of the campaign. So the main message is really the versatility of the potatoes. But of course, the nutrition part has to be present, because it's also something that we see at EU level. The Commission is really pushing for a healthy, sustainable, and healthy diet. So that's why the objectives of the Farm to Fork. And they also pushing for a plant-based diet. And potatoes, we have everything, I think. We have no gluten. We are vegan, if you want to be vegan. So, we really need to promote potatoes in that sense. So, nutrition definitely needs to be more present on promotion campaigns.
Muito obrigada, nós estamos mesmo já assim no limite do tempo e eu gostava muito de abrir o debate também aqui à nossa audiência e perguntar se alguém quer fazer alguma pergunta antes de encerrarmos este debate. Eu não consigo ver bem. Temos ali um braço no ar, fantástico.
Ok, boa tarde, obrigado. Olá, boa tarde. Agradecer a presença de todos os participantes neste painel, foi um gosto ouvir-vos. Pedro Santos, Diretor-Geral da CA Aperitivos. Eu gostava só de vos ouvir muito rapidamente sobre um tema que está na ordem do dia, que tem estado na ordem do dia, que é a acrilamida, e o que é que vocês, como produtores, como associação de produtores, têm estado a fazer, porque nós da indústria temos desenvolvido várias formas de tentar mitigar essa questão, que é uma questão, é um tema da ordem do dia, mas isso vai sempre voltar para trás, porque as variedades são um fator central no desenvolvimento da acrilamídia. Portanto, eu gostava de saber também o que é que vocês, como setor, como associações, estão a fazer para mitigar e para também esse fenómeno. Tá bem? Obrigado a todos.
En la presentación, en el año 2016, cuando comenzamos a trabajar como interprofesional, nuestro primer objetivo fue reducir la acrilamida. Trabajamos con un instituto nacional y tuvimos una gran suerte. Y es que las patatas que almacenábamos en Castilla y León, nuestras temperaturas de almacenaje, ninguna, era por debajo de 8 grados, porque nuestro mercado de venta principal era patata fritable. Las variedades que trabajamos, sobre todo hablo en conservación, el único mercado que teníamos para vender era la restauración, desgraciadamente la restauración, porque la distribución decidía que nuestra piel externa, nuestra lavabilidad, era peor que la de otros países donde se almacenaba a temperatura más baja. Los niveles de acrilamida de patata almacenada en España para consumir, insisto, en España, de los últimos 5 años, datos de enero, febrero, marzo y abril, éramos un 10% de los niveles de acrilamida de patata almacenada que venía de otros países, por lo que los agricultores no han tenido que hacer grandes medidas de mitigación en nuestra zona, por las variedades que trabajamos y por la forma de conservación que tenemos. Pero llevábamos 5 años trabajándolo e intentando comentarlo a la gran distribución. Y en ese trabajo es cuando hemos conseguido en los últimos 2 años que haya patata de España en los supermercados hasta ahora mismo, cosa que antes era impensable por la piel. Espero haberte respondido.
I don't know, John, if you want to comment on that. I mean, from my side, I can only invite you to come tomorrow because my colleague here present, Roman Svors, is going to present you the main activities of the association on acrylamide. This is, of course, a subject that we have been following at the association for many years. But as you were saying, this is also affecting, let's say, also a lot and maybe more to the processing side. So we have been working together with the European Processors, Potato Processors Association. But I'm not an expert in this topic. So again, I will invite you to wait for tomorrow's presentation or to just to approach my colleague and to approach us and we can have a discussion later. But I can assure you that at European level there have been actions. There is also a European campaign. There is a website, but I prefer to keep from my side on not giving more details on that.
I join you in that way because I think as an expert tomorrow. Okay.
Muito obrigada. Há mais questões? Eu penso que não. Então, damos por encerrado este primeiro dia de Jornadas Internacionais da Batata. Eu quero aproveitar para agradecer à Porbatata o convite, que não o fiz no início deste painel, erradamente, peço desculpa. Agradecer pelo convite e também desejar que realmente, pegando um bocado nas palavras do Sérgio Ferreira na abertura desta sessão, que seja um momento de relançamento da batata, de valorização, sobretudo, da batata portuguesa, que é um produto único e indispensável na mesa dos consumidores e é preciso colocá-la de novo nas casas dos portugueses e dos europeus também. Muito obrigada e um bom dia de trabalho amanhã aqui em Alcochete.